What's up, everyone? Welcome to This Day in Philly Sports History for December 16th, 2024. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to our 10th straight Victory Monday or Victory Friday, Victory Tuesday, whatever you want. This is now 10 in a row, and I'm going to apologize for my voice early. I'm struggling here to get the podcast out, but it was well worth it. What a win, 27-13, and the Eagles absolutely dominated the Steelers. I think the Steelers didn't even touch the ball really in the second half. I think the Eagles controlled the clock that much. I'm going to go through this like I always do. I haven't really watched any media, haven't been on social media. This is just strictly my notes from the game yesterday in the stadium. But I love this team. I absolutely love this team. And with all of the noise out of the NovaCare complex this week, Jalen Hurts basically came out and said, F you if you don't think I'm good. He came out, threw for 290 yards, 2 touchdowns. Devontae had 109, 11 catches. AJ had 8 catches for 110. They both had touchdowns. And why did all this happen? Because they shut down Saquon Barkley. All year, the narrative has been, what's going to happen when they shut down Saquon? Jalen can't do it. And all of the talk about 100 passing yards a game and not doing this and missing open receivers, they haven't had to worry about it because Saquon has been that good. Pittsburgh did a good job stacking the box and shutting down Saquon. They dared Jalen to beat him. And guess what? He did. So for all the people out there, but Jalen can't throw, sure as hell looked pretty damn good throwing the ball yesterday. Saquon held to 65 yards. He seemed like he was hurt. I don't know. I don't know if it was game flow or what, but we saw a lot of Kenny Gainwell, who excelled as well. I mean, this team is just so much fun. I absolutely love this team, and there is something special about this team. I think if you go back to the 2017 team, there was vibes. They had those good vibes. Maybe they just weren't as talented as this team, but the 2022 team, they had vibes. And I think this team is more talented than both of them. I think they have the vibes, and I think they proved that they can get physical with you. They can play whatever the style dictates, they can play. And I think they came out pissed off. Absolutely pissed off as well as they should, and they just dominated that team. Absolutely dominated. Basically, the sky is the limit for this team. Another tough game next week in Washington, but they certainly could run the table. They set the record for 10 straight wins. It's the most wins in a row in Eagles history. It's the second straight season they've won 12 games, or maybe even the third straight. Whatever it is, this team, like I said, I'll look at the numbers and be more precise, but this is just my notes from the game. And you know what? Go ahead. Shut Saquon down. You see what happens. And I think now the league should be on notice that this team is pretty damn good. And there's just something about them. Like the 2017 and the 2022 team, you could see that there was something special with them. This team has something completely different. I don't know what it is, just the way they were vibing. There was a lot more Pittsburgh fans in the stadium than what I thought. I thought there'd be a good number. But, I mean, the crowd was on fire, electric. CJ Gardner-Johnson has slowly become one of my favorite players. Just the way he gets the crowd pumped up and they're dancing. Like, there's just something special about this team. The fact that Quinyon came over when the little scrum, which I still don't understand why there weren't offsetting penalties on that, but hey. But when he came over to have Slay's back, like this team is just, they're special. And I love this team. I came home. My wife got super annoyed because I was like, I love this team. This team is great. But for all of the stuff that they did on offense, and I know Pittsburgh doesn't have the greatest of offenses, our defense dominated as well, held them to 163 yards. Like that offense, like they're a pounding team, and They couldn't get anything going. What a great win. Team win. I mean, Jake Elliott looked good. Special teams looked good, minus the fumble by Cooper. But he certainly made up for it on his next return. It's just the vibes of this team, man. And I'll take it. This is incredible. 12-2, 10 in a row. 3 division games left. They certainly could. Next week's probably going to be the toughest game they have down in D.C. They're going to be fighting for a playoff spot, but they struggled with the Saints. The only team right now that can stop this Eagles team are the Eagles, and they just seem to be clicking. They're like, you know what? You want to talk all that trash? You want to talk all whatever? Good. Talk. We'll show you. A.J. Brown, I think, said it best. I did hear on the news this morning, but he was like, we kind of shut everybody up. There was a plane flying around the stadium that said fake news. Philadelphia stands behind 1-11. It's just this. The vibes around this team right now are so good. We lost our bet. I'm okay with that. I'll gladly be wrong on a bet in a game that the Eagles won by double digits and thoroughly dominate. Like, I can't stress that enough. They dominated this team. Like, it was not even, like, you could tell who the better team was from start to finish in this game. Great team win, 12-2. Let's move on to Washington. Let's go back and revisit the 3 keys to the game. I said set Jalen up for success, do a lot of hurry up. I mean, you tell me, did they set him up for success early? 10 points in the first quarter. I saw a lot of hurry up offense. I mean, that was the best I've seen Jalen look all year. And truthfully, it was a game that he had to look that good, and he did. So for all the negativity, all the people saying, oh, well, Jalen can't do this. Guess what? He can. He just hasn't had to. And all of a sudden now, you're looking, and this team, okay, you're going to shut down AJ and Devontae? Saquon. You're going to shut down Saquon? AJ and Devontae. I mean, Jalen had a lot of good runs. There was one play in particular where you could tell he was dropping back to pass, and all of a sudden he saw like the middle of the field was wide open, and he took it. I mean, it just, yeah, I think they set the offense and Jalen up for success. Limit the impact of T.J. Watt. He did have 2 sacks. He did beat Lane a couple times, but he's also the best defensive player in the league. Eagles still win. So I would say that they didn't stop him or shut him down, but they certainly limited what he was able to do. And I said, third key to the game, shut down Najee Harris and force Mike Williams and Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin to beat you. They shut down Najee. Najee had 14 rushing yards and 1 catch for 7, and the other guys couldn't do anything. So I think we nailed the 3 keys. The Eagles got it. But a great win, 12-2, moving on to Washington. I can't say this enough. I love this team. I absolutely love this team. This might be, and I talk a lot about those early 90s teams. This might be my favorite Eagles team. I like this team so far. Obviously, they need to finish the job now. But like, I like just the vibes and the team better than 2017 and better than 22 right now. And like, even better than those Buddy Ryan teams. Having fun. Going to the games has been fun. It's been a great, great season. It's a good win. But that does lead us to today's question of the day. It's the day after a game, so you know what it is. Who is your GOAT of the game? I mean, I think you could give it to all 3 of these guys. Is it Jalen, AJ, or Devontae? Hit me up on the Back to the Future voice and text line, 267-495-8531. Get your thoughts in on that. It's a tough one. I think because of all the noise, though, and the narrative being, well, Jalen can't pass, and Jalen this, and Jalen that, I'm going Jalen as the GOAT. But who do you got? Jalen, AJ, or Devontae? Let me know, on any of my social media or the Back to the Future voice and text line. Speaking of social media, hit me up on Twitter and TikTok at Jimbo_Mont, on Instagram at Philly Jimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Continue to spread the word. If you're enjoying this, likely someone in your circle will as well. I keep calling this a grassroots movement, but let's continue to grow it and let's have some fun here the last, 3 weeks of the season heading into the postseason. I love it. All right. The gift and food drive is over. I'm gonna take the day or this morning, start gathering stuff up, get ready for the donation or drop off the donations. Thank you for everybody who donated in one way or the other. And if you are gonna go drop it off yourself, any of your donations, be sure to let them know that it's part of our fundraiser for this day in Philly sports history. 25 days of kindness. Maybe you can't do it today; it's too late. But let your spouse sleep in maybe this weekend. Get up with the kids. Do something like that. It's one of those things. We kind of take turns here waking up with the kids. But 25 days of kindness. Let your spouse sleep in. And then I found this out. They were released on my way down on the subway. Philly Goat has done it again. We talked all through last summer about the canvas loafers. They have canvas high tops. Bird wings, basically Chuck Taylor style high tops with the Kelly Green eagle on them. They're phenomenal. Cannot wait to get my pair of these, but go check it out. And I'm sure if they're as comfortable as the canvas loafers, these things are going to be great. So go to Philly Goat, check that out. Be sure to use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order, but go look it up. These things are amazing. And then go check out my boys at the Clashing Conferences podcast, available wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube, doing great things over there with their Sports Fan Network. All right, Sixers are in action tonight in Charlotte. No Jarrett McCain, no Joel Embiid. Can they win this game? I don't know. Like I said, I think it's time to just start thinking about draft. It's just spiraling out of control, and I don't know. But Sixers in Charlotte tonight. Okay. All right, today we got a little bit of a doubleheader, and I've been doing a lot of these doubleheaders mainly because there's been a lot of great events happening that I just can't choose from. So first, we're going to go back to 1979, and in 1979, the Eagles beat the Houston Oilers down in the Astrodome 26-20. In what basically was a meaningless game. Starters for both teams did not play in the second half, but it's important because they spent most of the second half looking at the scoreboard. And it was the Eagles had already clinched a playoff spot. They already knew they were going to play a home game. They were just waiting to see against who, and there was a couple different ways that things could have fell. And things fell the right way for the Eagles. They would basically be on the side of the bracket with the Bears and the Buccaneers, so it looked like they were able to have a clear path to the NFC Championship game. The following week, like I said, they were going to play the Bears in the wild card game, but I'll have more on that for you next week. But the Eagles beat the Oilers 26-20 in the last game of the season, where starters didn't really play, but there was a lot of scoreboard watching for both teams as they were trying to figure out who their next opponents were. Then, fast forward, how many years is that? 24 to 1995. And one of the most bizarre sort of events, sequence of events leading up to this, but Mike Tyson took on Buster Mathis Jr. at the Spectrum. Now, this was supposed to be, excuse me, this was supposed to be Tyson's second fight after getting out of prison. If you remember, he beat Peter McNeely in like 90 seconds. So this was supposed to be the next step up to get him back into the heavyweight championship picture. It was originally supposed to be in Vegas, and then Don King wanted it to be broadcast free on Fox. So somehow it got moved to Atlantic City, but the problem was Don King was banned from promoting fights in Atlantic City. So they moved it across the river, ended up being at the Spectrum. It was free, and it was broadcast live on Fox. Mike Tyson knocked out Buster Mathis in the third round to get back into a championship picture. And as far as I can tell or remember, might have been the last big heavyweight fight in Philly. There may have been one or two, but I certainly remember this. It was just a big deal because boxing used to be what the UFC was, and to have Mike Tyson come to the Spectrum to fight, even though he missed 3 years with being in prison and everything, it was a huge deal, especially since it was broadcast free on Fox. But that happened on this day back in 1995. Mike Tyson took on Buster Mathis Jr. at the Spectrum. All right. And then finally today, our forgotten teams in Philly sports history. Today's the Wilmington Bombers. They were an ABL basketball team based out of Wilmington from 1941 to 1947. They did sit out a year in 1942, I assume due to World War II. But they were a pretty solid team for their short time in the ABL. They won 53% of their games. They won 2 championships. They were in the playoffs 2 other years. And it was just the volatility of professional basketball back then. You had these teams pop up, play for a couple years, and then disappear or get absorbed into other teams. And that's essentially what happened with the Wilmington Bombers. But the Wilmington Bombers are today's forgotten Philadelphia-based sports team or Philadelphia area sports team. They won 2 ABL championships, were in the playoffs 2 other years, and it's basically one of the better teams of the early professional basketball leagues. On this day, 1979, Eagles beat the Oilers 26-20, but more importantly, they found out they would be playing the Bears the following week at the Vet in the wild card game. We'll have more on that game next week. And then in 1995, Mike Tyson knocked out Buster Mathis Jr. in the 3rd round at the Spectrum in a fight that was originally supposed to be in Vegas. It was moved to Atlantic City and ended up being in Philly and shown free on Fox. Broadcast heavyweight championship fighting. You gotta love it. Be sure to let me know who your GOAT of the game is. Jalen, AJ, or Devontae. 267-495-8531. Get that. Anything else? Let me know your thoughts on the game. How are you feeling about this team? Can we officially say that they're a legitimate contender and that Jalen's a good quarterback, Nick Sirianni's a good coach? Can we say that finally? I mean, they've just won 10 in a row. They did so in dominating fashion. Can we finally say that? Maybe. But great win. Let me know who the GOAT is. We'll have more on this as I'm able to dive in and watch some of the replay. But your Philadelphia Eagles are 12-2, tied for the top spot right now in the NFC with a fairly, it's division games, but a fairly easy schedule. I know the Lions have some division games, and the AFC, or NFC North is pretty tough. So it should be an exciting 3-week sprint to the finish of the NFL season. But your Philadelphia Eagles are 12-2 with a 27-13 domination of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I love every second of it. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for December 16th, 2024. My name is Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Victory Monday, and until next time, I'll see you when I see you.